Right now, somewhere in the world, a lion is walking across a field completely naked. A dolphin is swimming with no concern whatsoever about how it looks. A chimpanzee, our closest living relative, sharing 98.7% of our DNA, is sitting in a tree, unbothered, exposed, and completely at peace with its own existence. And then there's you. You feel uncomfortable changing at the gym. You turn off the lights before getting undressed. You've looked in the mirror and felt something close to disgust at the body that kept you alive all day. No other animal on Earth does this. Not one. In over 8.7 million species on this planet, humans are the only ones who look at their own bodies and feel shame. And the question nobody asks is, why? Where did that come from? Was it always there? Or did something happen to us? The answer reaches back further than religion, further than culture, further than civilization itself. And once you understand it, you'll never see your reflection the same way again.
Let's start with what makes humans different. If you put a mirror in front of most animals, they react to it like a stranger. A dog barks at it, a cat walks away, a bird attacks it. They don't recognize themselves. But in 1970, psychologist Gordon Gallup Jr. ran a simple experiment. He put a mirror in front of a chimpanzee for several days. At first, the chimp reacted like any other animal. It was threatened, confused, but then something changed. The chimp started using the mirror to examine parts of itself it couldn't normally see. It picked food out of its own teeth. It made faces at itself. The chimp knew it was looking at itself. Gallup called this self-recognition, and it's extraordinarily rare. Only a handful of species have it. Great apes, elephants, dolphins, and a few others. And of course, humans. Self-recognition sounds like a gift, and in many ways it is. It's the foundation of empathy, of imagining how others see you, of planning for the future. It's part of what made us human. But it comes with a cost that no other animal pays. When you can see yourself, you can judge yourself.
Here's where it gets strange. For 300,000 years, humans lived without clothing. The earliest evidence of clothes, needles made of bone, dates back only about 50,000 years. That means for the vast majority of human history, your ancestors were naked all the time, in front of everyone, and there's no evidence they were ashamed of it. Anthropologists studying isolated tribes that had never had contact with the outside world, groups in the Amazon, in Papua New Guinea, and remote parts of Africa, found something consistent. Nudity in those communities was simply neutral. Bodies were functional. They weren't sexual, they weren't shameful, they weren't even particularly interesting. Shame about the body, it turns out, isn't biological. It's learned. So when did we learn it? The honest answer is we're not entirely sure. But we have very strong clues. The first clue is clothing itself. When humans started wearing clothes around 50,000 years ago, something shifted. Covering the body created the concept of what is hidden. And once something is hidden, it becomes charged. It becomes private. It becomes something that, if revealed, feels like a violation. Clothing didn't follow shame. Shame followed clothing. The second clue comes from the agricultural revolution, roughly 10,000 years ago. Before agriculture, humans lived in small bands of 20 to 50 people. Everyone knew everyone. There was no hierarchy of beauty, no competition for resources based on appearance. Your body was just the thing that helped you hunt, gather, and survive. Then agriculture created surplus. Surplus created wealth. Wealth created inequality. And inequality, for the first time in human history, made your body a social signal. A well-fed body meant status. A strong body meant value. And suddenly, for the first time, how you looked determined how others treated you. The body became something to be evaluated, and anything that can be evaluated can be found lacking.
But there's a third clue, and this one is the most revealing. In 1971, psychologist June Price Tangney began studying the difference between guilt and shame. They sound similar, but they're completely different emotions doing completely different things in your brain. Guilt is about what you did. Shame is about what you are. When you feel guilty, your brain says, I did something bad. That's actually healthy. Guilt motivates repair. It makes you apologize, make amends, do better. But when you feel shame, your brain says something different. I am bad. Not my action, me, my body, my face, my existence. And Tangney found that shame, unlike guilt, is almost always destructive. People in chronic shame don't improve. They hide. They withdraw. They attack others to deflect. Shame is the emotion that says the problem can't be fixed because the problem is you. Now here's the critical part. Shame requires an audience, real or imagined. When you feel ashamed of your body in a room alone, you're not actually alone. You're imagining how someone else would see you. You've internalized a judge. You've built an audience inside your own head that never leaves. This is only possible because of that mirror test, because humans can see themselves from the outside, because we have the cognitive machinery to imagine being observed. The very thing that makes us capable of empathy and civilization, the ability to take someone else's perspective, is the same thing that lets us turn that perspective against ourselves. No lion has an audience in its head. You do.
And then, modern civilization turned up the volume on everything. For most of human history, you compared your body to maybe 150 people, the size of your tribe. That was it. Some of those people looked better than you, most didn't. The comparison was limited and local. Today, you compare yourself to billions. Social media shows you the top 0.1% of human appearance, professionally lit, digitally altered, filtered, curated, and your brain has no mechanism to understand that this isn't real. Your brain evolved for a tribe of 150. It cannot process the difference between a person standing in front of you and a carefully constructed image on a screen. It just sees human, compare, evaluate. Researchers at the University of Pittsburgh found that the more time young adults spent on social media, the higher their rates of body dissatisfaction, regardless of what they actually looked like. The content didn't matter. The comparison itself was the damage. Your brain was never built for this. It was built for firelight and faces you actually know. So, where does this leave you? Here's what the science actually says. Body shame is not ancient, it's not hardwired, it's not inevitable. It emerged from a specific set of historical circumstances: the invention of clothing, the rise of inequality, the creation of social hierarchies based on appearance, and the modern explosion of comparison at a scale no human brain can handle. The lion isn't more enlightened than you. It just never had to navigate 10,000 years of civilization telling it what a body should look like. You have the most remarkable piece of biological machinery ever produced by evolution. A body that heals itself, that moves through space, that converts food into thought, that keeps you alive every second without asking you for input. A heart that is beaten over 1 billion times without you ever once telling it to. And somehow, somewhere between the agricultural revolution and the Instagram algorithm, you learn to look at that and feel ashamed. That's not a personal failure. That's a historical accident. And unlike most accidents in history, this one you can actually do something about.